First reading of bills.
The Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Orders 51, I move that the National Flag Protection Bill 2015 be considered without delay. And further, Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Orders 51-2, I move the following: that this bill be immediately referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights. 2, that the Standing Committee report on these bills to Parliament in the July session of Parliament. 3, that upon presentation of the report by the Standing Committee, Parliament resolves itself into Committee of the Whole of Parliament for the consideration of this bill in accordance with Standing Orders 87 in the July session, and that this bill be voted upon by Parliament in the July session following the Secretary-General's report on the consideration of the bill under Standing Order 87-1. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Speaker, I second. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this bill, by way of background, sets out the specific laws pertaining to the flag of Fiji. We have never had a specific law on the flag of Fiji. We've had a law only on the coat of arms, specifically. What this law does, Madam Speaker, and it is different to the design of a new flag. This is specifically the law on a flag, the national flag of Fiji. The pertinent features of this bill, Madam Speaker, talks about the protection, in summary, the protection and use of the flag, who can use it, when they can use it. We have specifically, for example, provided for school buildings, government buildings, homes, even homes, to be able to fly the Fijian flag. There's always been a lot of ambiguity whether homes can actually fly flags. As you see in America, people fly flags. So these rules now actually set out clearly what Fijian people can do in respect of the flag. It also talks about the declaration of any new flag that may be brought to Parliament. The minister responsible for the flag will be the Prime Minister, as the Prime Minister has always been responsible for the flag and the coat of arms. This bill also, Madam Speaker, talks about the flag and how it should not be in any way desecrated or manipulated. As you will see currently in shops, people having half the flag with the other half being, something else, some other symbol. It is a national symbol, so we need to have some rules pertaining to that. It also sets out, Madam Speaker, the use of the flag for commercial purposes, how it can be used, where the permission must be obtained from. It also talks about how, when the flag should be flown at half-mast, when it should be done, the rules pertaining to that. It also has, obviously, some general penalty clauses, also relating to companies. As we've seen, companies make money from it. There needs to be some rules surrounding that, if they need to obtain the permission from the minister responsible. And the flag also sets out some consequential amendments that would be necessary in a state of transition if you're moving from one flag to the other flag, what should happen in the interim period. And it also talks about, as it will affect the ship registration laws that are in place. What are the colors that need to be established? How will they be flown? And also in respect of, should there be a change in the flag, then what happens to the existing stock of flags? What happens to the flags that may be for commercial use? So it takes care of that transitional period. In a nutshell, that's what this flag is about, Madam Speaker. And I again elaborate, it's got nothing to do with the design of a new flag. It's the law per se, no matter which flag will be in place. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Oh, sorry, Madam Chair, the reason why we are seeking an expedited process is that in the event when the new flag is designed and being brought to Parliament, then we need a lead time of 2 months at least to be able to prepare for the new flags, because we'll need to do the entire manufacture of the new flags, and this is why a lead time is required. This is why we are having it brought back to Parliament in July. But notwithstanding that, is being referred directly to the committee, so the committee can go and hold its public consultations and get its feedback on the actual bill itself. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The House is open to comments, if any. There being no comments, if the Attorney General wishes to speak in reply.
Captured in essence what needs to be said, and if we can have this expedited process through Standing Orders 51. Thank you.
Thank you. The Parliament will now vote for the motion. If anyone opposes the motion. Does anyone oppose? The Honourable Nengamula.
It's just that they've just delivered some copies of the bill to us, and they were taking it back. We haven't had a chance to read it thoroughly, so we can actively participate in the debate. Come again? Oh.
We're merely voting to refer this to the Standing Committee on Justice. And the presentation of report by the committee will be to the whole House, and that is when we will debate the motion. So if there are no one opposes, then the motion is therefore agreed to unanimously. Attorney General, the Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise again pursuant to Standing Orders 51, and I move that the Code of Arms Bill 2015 be considered by Parliament without delay. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Orders 51-2, I move that the bill be immediately referred to the Standing Committee on Justice, Law and Human Rights, that the Standing Committee report on those bills to Parliament in the July session of Parliament, that upon presentation of the report by the Standing Committee, Parliament resolves itself into Committee of the whole of Parliament for consideration of this bill in accordance with Standing Orders 87 in the July session, and that this bill be voted upon by Parliament in the July session following the Secretary-General's report on the consideration of the bill under Standing Orders 87-1. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder?
Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Thank you. I give the floor to the Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, similar to the National Flag Bill, the Code of Arms, as I mentioned, the Code of Arms, in fact, at the moment, as it stands, we have simply a one-pager law on the Code of Arms. And the Code of Arms, Madam Speaker, is that's what's behind you, and many people sort of mistake it. That is actually the Code of Arms with the traditional warriors on either side, and the shield from the existing flag is between the warriors and with the outrigger canoe on top. Now, what this Code of Arms bill does is again talks about protecting the Code of Arms. It again talks about the illegal usage of the Code of Arms and about getting permission from the minister responsible, which is the Prime Minister. As you know, Madam Speaker, Fiji is actually a good brand name. We have seen many countries overseas that have stolen the name Fiji without paying any royalties to Fiji. Perfumes, underarm deodorants, all sorts of things have the name Fiji on it. We're obviously pursuing that in terms of getting royalty payments for them. Some of them have varied the names. And what we have seen now, Madam Speaker, is that people are actually using that overseas too. So we need to be able to regulate that, because that's something that belongs to Fiji. Nobody goes around, for example, copying the Coat of Arms of Australia and New Zealand. But Fiji, because it's got that sort of unique feature, people are trying to use that. So this bill proposes to protect the Coat of Arms, and of course it has the transitionary provision. Should the Coat of Arms change, for example, if the shield is changed, the warriors remain, then there needs to be a transitional provision within that. It has the penalty provisions within the Coat of Arms bill, and any consequential consequences from the amendment of that will also be catered for under this particular bill. So it's very, very similar to the protection of the national flag, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. I invite comments from the House, if any. I give the floor to the Honourable Moses Simbolitavu.
Just a comment, not in relation to argue whether this is whether we are in support or not. We'll be obviously support to patent both the flags and the coat of arms. The Honourable Attorney General has talked about protection of that. About the restriction of use, a protection means you cannot take away one of the symbols, but to restrict it from being used, will that also affect, say, political parties or other who are using the flag? Will that be restricted to? Will be current political parties who are using the flag, will they have to comply with that? Just a clarification. Attorney General.
Thank you. I think the Attorney General will respond to that in his right of reply. Any other comments? The Honourable Anuravandi.
In addition to that, Madam Speaker, that there's a different coat of arms used for certification and border control. This must be clarified, because the use of coat of arms, where we stamp to certify that this document is being legally approved in Fiji, to be used for, certified for trade, certified for use for border control and other measures. Are they the same coat of arms? Thank you.
I guess I will give the honours to the Honourable Minister if he wants to address these two questions just with a very direct. If you would like to answer these questions now before your right of reply, the two questions, or you prefer to keep it until?
The direct answer would be that these are matters pertaining to the bill, which can be discussed with the Standing Committee. But just to highlight the fact that the coat of arms, there's only one coat of arms in Fiji. That is the coat of arms. And again, in respect of the permission regarding the uses of coat of arms, is very restricted. Part of the coat of arms is in the flag. But that does not make that the flag, nor does it make the flag the coat of arms. So that distinction needs to be drawn up. But I think these are the issues that can be discussed through the committee stage. And you know, all these issues can be brought there by the individual members.
Thank you. There being no other comments from the House, I will now give the floor to the Honourable Attorney General for his right of reply.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think we've elucidated enough on the actual provisions of the bill, and I put the motion to the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. The Parliament will now vote on the Attorney General's motion. Does any member oppose the motion? Thank you. The motion is therefore agreed to unanimously. Next on the agenda, the Honourable Attorney General.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, pursuant to Standing Orders 84, I move that the Rotuma Bill 2015 be now read the first time. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Madam Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Thank you. In accordance with Standing Order 84, Clause 2, the bill has been read a first time. Secretary General.
The bill for an act to provide for the regulation of Rotuman affairs and for related matters, 6/2015.
The bill will now be listed in the order paper for second reading on a future sitting day. Secretary General, the Honourable Attorney General.
Madam Speaker, the bill is for first reading, for further consideration for the second reading. The bill, Madam Speaker, establishes various matters pertaining to Rotuma, in particular the establishment of the Council of Rotuma. Also, this bill has been put into place following, in fact, a couple of years of consultations through the Prime Minister's office with the people of Rotuma. and it has a number of features pertaining to the representation in the council and what will be the functions of the forum that will be established through the council and how will they be elected. These are all the matters that have been set in the bill itself. It also sets aside the promotion of development, welfare and advancement of the Rotuman people. It also addresses issues pertaining to Rotuma Agriculture and Industrial Loan Fund. So these have been, in fact, they're quite extensive consultations have been held, Madam Speaker, and this particular bill seeks to address those issues, and we obviously will follow this through the normal process in the parliamentary system. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder?
Madam Speaker, I beg to second the motion.
Thank you. In accordance with Standing Order 84, Clause 2, the bill has been read the first time. Secretary General.
The bill for an act to provide for a lands commission in Rotuma, to provide for the registration of Rotumans, to regulate the registration, dealing with and transmission of land and related matters, 7/2015.
Thank you. The bill will now be listed on the order paper for second reading on the future sitting day.